going and attending. So one of the great things, if you're working with a specific area within the business, being asking if they can just go spend time with that part of the company so they can watch and get to know the other individuals in the company, and if they're working within either online or in the person, and they can start to get a feel for what works really well for them, so that they start to see the different ways that business areas are working, which will help them hugely. Or, of course, talking to people who have been in the industry for a while and say, look, I'm really looking, I know I'm really not great at communication. I'm not really showing people. It makes me really scared to do that. So it's time to get out and do some networking. Go to different area, work on different areas where you can actually spend time and find a lot more that they can do to help start to learn more what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? Because people get really scared. It's like, I can't talk to anyone, I'm really scared to do that. But finding a way, even if they do one networking thing once a month, even once a week, will still help them pull those things forward with them.
Well, now I actually have a huge aha moment because for the last 5-6 years, we've been helping people who are not technical to transition to the technology space by organizing courses and workshops so that those HR professionals can eventually recruit IT people. But now it feels like it should also go the other way around, like to help CTOs speak the finance language, right? Probably something like finance for CTOs or marketing for CTOs or similar topics.
And so that's why it's really important that people start to really think about what makes people take. And if you've got the people at that top level speech, as you were saying, you got your individuals who are so used to being, they loved being in the middle of everything, to try and build that time up, and then spend more time with people in that space. So my recommendation is talk to people who already been in that space, spend some time with them, sit in and as I said, spend time with other people, but also think about what your brand now looks at yourself. So it's kind of like going into online, go and look at, going online and saying, hey, what are people saying about me online? Does anybody know who I am, right? Because you want to start to be able to show people what they're able to do. And that's a great way of trying to move it forward. And that's that whole thing about what really does it mean to have my only in pure fuel. They're trying to think of the best way to describe it. If you think about what is standing out from the crowd, think about it's kind of understanding about how people see you, how you can feel how you can feel others take off for you. How am I going to make people see where I'm coming from so I can actually keep moving forward to kind of pull things to go forward? That makes sense. I don't know. I don't think I'm explaining it in the best possible way that I can.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because, as you say, the CTOs should engage with other stakeholders in the other departments, and as they are going through the career transition, probably also find a way how to communicate externally that they are really good in this specific skill or networking or area, just because they may be a company looking for a CTO who has experience with stakeholder management, but how can the CTO communicate effectively that he's really good at it, right? Just as an example, if they follow your guidance and they start networking, they start learning about finance and marketing, but how do they communicate it externally, especially through the personal brand?
Well, if I were in their shoes, what I would do is I would go online and start look up what different areas that are changing at the moment, right? So we think about what's happening with the whole area with, finding different areas where people can stand out from the crowd. Go online, talk to different people, talk to people that you don't know. Try and introduce yourself so that you can meet new people every day, or at least once a month, or every 2 or 3 weeks, to go and improve that. So go online, see what's going on, look up line and see, does anyone, if I do, I'm even being sold in order online? Can people even say what I'm doing? Do you know what I mean? Because if you look online and people go and look at you and you think, oh, I didn't know people saw me that way, or that way, or that way, or that way, or wow, I never knew that person, a friend of mine. Look at that. I should go and talk to them.
Yeah.
It's a great way, you know, when you've got looking at different stories and different ideas, that you can build them so that people can start seeing how you're coming across. That makes any sense any at all.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of personal brand, I mean, there are different ways how to tackle it and how to improve. So out of those, say, 5,000 people who you have been working with, who are, without revealing their names, who are the people that come to your mind first with really interesting brand? Just out of curiosity, kind of what are the elements that you remember, you know, because that could also help other people to create a brand that is memorable. So what are the aspects that are?
I would say what most people that I've spoken to in the different advertising things is, a lot of people it's about confidence. They're afraid to get to stand in a corner and say, this is what I'm doing. So that comfortable confidence, you know, that being able to stand up and figure out things. It's also about showing me the money, right? Showing them what they can do to really change games. So for instance, because I don't understand why they don't understand what I'm doing. What in the world is going on? But if you sat and step back and think about, how can I use and tell a story that will give them an idea? So if someone, for instance, what I find is a lot of the people I speak are very much, they don't get how they're going to make it understand. So for instance, I might say, well, look, imagine that you are looking at people, are a whole thing around, let's say, Alloprep. I can't speak. Sorry, I'm really sorry. Normally, I'm
No
I'm
worries.
thinking. So say we've got automatic at the moment. We've got the whole thing about advertising with people who might be really, really great with handling building vacationments on. Yeah, sorry, just completely I've had a bit of a problem at the moment. I don't know what's going on. So not as proud as I'd like saying what I'm going to say. So let me say that one more time. You're trying to solve an issue. You think about, I've got someone, they are major doing transportation area, you know, in terms of what's going on? I think.
Would you like to schedule?
Yeah. Okay. Let's say we've got a big thing. We've got the Paris. We've got advertising. People are going to go. They're going to be running. Or they might be doing weight, changing. So it's kind of thinking, can I use an example of that so that people would get immediately? So when I'm trying to explain how I'm going to create something specifically for a specific country or individuals or whatever, what can I do to show them an example of how we can make that work for them?
Yeah, well, this is a great advice. I mean, definitely to boost the personal brand and be more visible in front of the decision makers. Are there any aspects, like some specific aspects that you remember? I don't know, someone with I don't know, long red hair, or sometimes there are people who create something extravagant on their, I don't know, visuals, probably some influencers outside of the leadership space. But is there anything on the personal brand that you have seen in the past which helps people become more memorable? Is there any such thing, or maybe I'm just kind of, thinking out aloud?
I think really tracking what you're doing, right? So making sure you track all the different things that you're doing. So say you're being asked to you're being organized in certain things that you must show your boss or what you're doing forward. So making sure that you're keeping track of those. So doing that SOAR, that situation, obstacle, action, result, writing down what you're doing, showing people the measurement that you're doing. When people start to look and they start to track it, they go, I forgot I had done that. I've done that. I've done that. Wow. So when someone says, well, we don't think you're organized enough. We think you've got a bit of a problem here. But when you're able to go back and show them what you've done, but not only just show them the steps you've made, but also show them the real estate, the actual result. So for instance, someone says, well, actually you said I haven't done this, but here, look, by doing this following this, and this, and we take that as a result, what that means is we have improved efficiency by 21%, right? Or we have improved the optical relationship of leadership changes. So it's basically getting people to think about and track, what is it that I do? What am I doing to really help, really formula that I can show bosses what I'm doing to help them. So it helps them with their organization, helps them with confident gathering, really thinking outside the box, because a lot of times people just feel really that they are stuck, right? They're stuck. Where am I going to go? How am I going to do that? So keeping track of what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, and then showing as a result of doing how that will help them move forward to the next level.
Well, I guess I should start doing this as well, because sometimes I just change something and I don't evaluate results on LinkedIn or somewhere. And yeah, I should definitely embrace this as well. Awesome. Are there any other skills that are really important for people who are transitioning their careers? So think about the CTO who is in their late 40s or early 50s, transitioning career, probably hasn't been looking for a job for the last 10, 15 years, and now suddenly needs to find a job, and everything is different than it was 15 years ago. So how to go around this?
I think the key there is making sure that you start to network, right? Spend time, know what's keeping up to date with things that are happening in the marketplace, right? But it's also really about making sure that you are networking, right? So that you're out attending, whether it's online or in person. Something like 86% of everything that we do comes through your network, right?
That's a lot.
It's a massive, somewhere, you'll see different, they'll say it should be slightly different than that. But another over 70% of jobs are never advertised because, but you need to go direct to the organization. So it's kind of thinking, what companies would I like to work for? What companies inspire and motivate me? And then it's trying to find, who do I know who's already there? Can I just reach them and just have a chat and say, I'm really interested in X, Y, and Z, and I'd really value 15 minutes of your time for a quick chat, right? And then, of course, you've got your recruitment companies that are going to fall out. It's not just about being online. It's about making sure that you are going through different channels, right? Following your recruitments, finding your stuff that's all online, but also looking at people that looking at people in the industry, and also then going directly to companies which you think, wow, there's an opportunity. So it's really about understanding. Don't just rely on doing anything online, right? Think about that whole bottom of opportunities that you can find. And that will help you really start to underline, and always following up and keeping track of those, right? So always remembering that this is really about the company and the value that you can add to their bottom line. It's not about you.
Well,
you
that's
know.
very interesting that you say this, because networking for the people in the IT industry is usually the last thing they want to do, and it's good to be reminded that they should do it, and maybe get someone to help them facilitate the process.
Yeah.
Who are the people to connect with? Just as an example, with the dream job and the company that the person would like to work for, there are probably 10,000 people in a larger company. So who to connect with? Who would be the right person to engage with?
Well, that will really depend on the individual. It depends on where they are in terms of, are they people who want to be, full-time employment? They want to work as a contractor, as a consultant. And so it's really thinking first, what is going to be right for me? Where do I want to go? So what some people might say is, I'm going to go and I'm going to look at doing, I'm going to do some consulting while I start and look at something else. But it really depends on the individual, what they're really is going to drive them forward in terms of looking at. That's why it's so important. You start to direct and understand what is it that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. However, people look at the different opportunities that you're supposed to do throughout. Every company's going to do that different, thinking, what am I doing? What am I really good at? What am I not so good at? Which are the companies that I really want to go and work for, right? So it's not just focusing only, a lot of people will only focus on one area, and they'll forget, and then they'll say, well, yeah, no one's coming back to me. I'm feeling I'm older. And as you get to a certain level, especially as you start to get a bit older, you start to think that the value is not where you're not honored as much. So this is where being able to show them the money really, and showing them what they do and what that means to their, the individuals that they're doing work for.
So
It's
so for a CTO, for example, who would like to get the next job, would it be fair to say that the CTO should connect with other C-level executives and the CEO in the company, or rather go after HR?
so that's a really good question, right? Pretty much I would say that all the different industry stuff that I've done personally, and there's quite a bit, is I always do it by a network. So pretty much all of the stuff I've ever done is through my network. With the HR, you're much better to go on the person who is going to be hiring you, right? So for instance, if someone is offering you a job, the person who can below that will be the person who you want to go and check with. So that might be, let's say the head of the tech head of tech, right? And not the HR, because our AR aren't going to be able to help you. It's the people who are going to look after you. The people you're going to be responsible to are the ones that are showing the bottom line, right? So they're the people you want to impress. And then, for instance, say you get the job and they're offering you that opportunity, then you might go to the work, the HR people, because they're going to be sending you the information, right? But that you've got to connect to the individual who is going to be handling that gray bit where you are focused, not the HR people.
Yeah, awesome. So we'll go after the C-levels, probably, right?
Yes. And and that's the thing, find people in the different companies. They might not, but they might be able to introduce you in. You might be able to ask the question about, I'm really interested in this. Is there anything what do you think? What would you do if you were me? Is there anyone you think I could introduce myself to? Would you be open to doing that? Excuse me. So they will do all of that as well.
Yeah, well, this is a skill itself, to ask for introductions. And I guess all of us need to practice this in the technology space. I mean, it could be easier for salespeople and everyone in the C-level space, but the technology guys really struggle with this.
Yeah, and that's why, if you are looking for a new job, you're trying to get promoted in the company you're already in, or you're looking, you think, I think I might be getting made redundant. Where do I want to go next? So this is where that networking is really important. right? And
And how?
asking people, all of that is crucial, because a lot of people will run because it's really hard, and they find it especially harder for women take it to strength, men find it even harder. So it's kind of think, how do we find that support? Who do we going to talk to first?
And how not to sound too desperate while reaching out to some people with a message like, hey, I'm on a job market, or you don't want to sound too desperate, right? So do you
No, you
initiate,
don't.
yeah, so you initiate the networking meeting just, with some other kind of pretense, or what would you
Yeah,
suggest?
with Prince, to find out what's happening in the company, what do you find the biggest challenge you face? What are you looking for? I'm personally, I work in engineering, specifically around, on the application side. What do you guys think the biggest challenge is? What are you missing? What would you do if you were me? So you start to ask questions, right?
Hmm.
So people start to be interested, and then that's when you fill that in, right? Versus what a lot of people do is they just say, well, this is me, it's all about me. But the reality is it's identifying the needs of the person that is looking to hire you, or, to see what you're doing. It's about, a lot of people will say it's all about me, but the reality is it's much more about your clientele, right? What are
Hmm.
they going to say?
Yeah.
And that's a really big, really, really, really big challenge, that one.
Well,
And
that's
it's kind of, as well, if you find a company and you think, God, there's nothing around. Yeah, but I believe there's these 5 companies I'd love to work with. Go online, see if you know anyone in the industry. Start picking up the phone with that way first, and then that's when you start to get in
yeah.
to do that. But it's easy, but it's kind of think about what makes you stand out from the crowd. What
Hmm.
makes me different? Why should someone hire me? That's the real key. So keep thinking about what's driving you
Hmm.
going forward.
Yeah.
In going forward.
And this is a nice circle back to what we started with, right? The importance of personal brand and having clarity about what makes you unique. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah. And be as, be as, really think about the competition, think about the clear messaging, think about being constant, you know, what is underneath this, what are people looking for me? But it's also being connected, got to be out there connected to different companies. Because
Yeah.
we're working and we're head down, and then we go up and we don't know what's happening outside of our company.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite key. And that's what creating that personal balance, that profile about what's going to make you shine.
Well, that actually happens to me as well. Often I'm just very focused on a problem at hand and not really looking around. So I'll apply this myself as well. Awesome, cool. So is there any kind of last advice that you would like to give to people who are watching this or listening to you?
I would say really believe in yourself,
Mhm.
talk to people. If I've got a website called, it's just cookingupsuccess.co.uk. There's loads of different stuff that they can go on, and it'll help them really engage in how to come across and what to gather on.
Mhm.
I've got lots of blogs there and everything that they can go and apply, to their everyday. But it's kind of think about what's going to be helping you move into where you want to be.
Mhm.
And that's why think about who are